Piedmont and Val d'Aosta. Piedmont and Val d'Aosta are situated north of Genoa. Piedmont was the center of organization for Italian unification. The famous Camillo Conte di Cavour was born in this region, and two important personalities in the Risorgimento operated in it, Garibaldi and Mazzini. Recently, Piedmont has become a productive, industrialized, and generally prosperous region. It possesses every characteristic of the modern state: abundant energy, hydroelectric, fertile valleys, excellent communications, an educated population available for industry, and natural mineral resources. In addition, it features excellent culinary traditions, talented artists, and a spirit of resourceful independence. Alessandria is a major city in the vicinity of Genova, the second largest in the region. It is an industrial city, a primary transport center. It is characterized by elegant architecture and magnificent art. Turin is the principal city in Piedmont, located in the Alpine region. A gigantic industrial complex denominated Fiat operates in Turin. Fiat is enormously influential in Italy. Its production includes a diverse variety of transportation-related machinery, which are also exported. Although Turin appears modern, its history actually predates the Christian era. It is a cultural center possessing incredible collections of art and interesting historical objects. Ivrea, north of Turin, is famous for its castles and, currently, its sophisticated Olivetti manufacturing plant exports commercial machines throughout the world. A few kilometers north of Ivrea, a village named Pont Saint-Martin marks the entrance to Val d'Aosta, whose name is an interesting anomaly. In fact, Val d'Aosta isn't a single valley, but a complicated group of valleys. In 1947, Val d'Aosta received an autonomous statute. Even though the population is Italian, it is culturally and linguistically French. In certain zones, German is the common, but not official language. This region is commercially and industrially modern. Its traditions date back to pre-Roman origins. From the tourist's point of view, An interesting contradiction is represented by that territory denominated valley that actually provides access to magnificent alpine mountains, including Mont Blanc and Monte Rosa. This region features other interesting characteristics, such as several casinos located on the French frontier and elegant hotels which attract clients from every part of the globe. The French influence is profound. In virtually every aspect, climate, cultural traditions, history, architecture, and economy, the region is different from the rest of Italy and similar to France.
Space travel. Space travel was confined to science fiction, comics, and films. Now, scientists have made the space age a reality. Exploring space is difficult, costly, and dangerous. However, many benefits will derive from the exploration of space. Satellites are now providing communications, navigational assistance, and new defense systems. Most important, perhaps, is the new information about the solar system and the universe that is being provided by space exploration. Space extends in all directions without any known limits or outward boundaries. Einstein, in his theory of relativity, predicts that space is curved and infinite. The atmosphere has little density above 20 miles, yet meteors glow from friction against the air at this altitude. For practical purposes, space can be described as the region beyond 100 miles above the surface of the planet. In the region called terrestrial space, there may be found meteors, radioactive particles, plasma, ionized gases, mostly hydrogen. Scientists theorize that this plasma may form the outer part of the solar atmosphere. Interplanetary space is dominated by the solar gravitational field. It extends past the orbit of the distant planet Pluto. Interstellar space begins at the point where solar gravity no longer dominates. Systems of stars, called galaxies, exist at unimaginable distances from the planet Earth. The region of space between the galaxies is known as intergalactic space. The gravity of our planet represents the dominant problem in space exploration. Various technical terms are employed in the technology of space exploration. Many have the prefix astro. For example, astronautics is the science of navigation in space. Astrobiology is the science of life on other planets, and astronauts are space explorers. Eccentricity denotes the variation of a satellite's orbit from a perfect circle. Escape velocity is the velocity that must be attained by a satellite in order to overcome the force of the planetary gravity and go into orbit. Exhaust velocity is the velocity at which the particles produced by the propellant leave the rocket. A probe rocket is equipped with instruments that measure various facts about space. The information derived from these measurements is communicated to a planetary station by radio. Perigee denotes the point in the orbit of a satellite at which the satellite is at the minimum distance from the surface of the planet. Conversely, apogee designates the point in the orbit of a satellite at which it reaches the maximum distance from the surface of the planet. Propellant functions as the fuel for the rocket and as the oxidizer, or substance that provides oxygen. The rocket stages are complete sections of the rocket, several of which are usually abandoned before the final stage, and the satellite, constituted by the remaining parts, attains orbit. Each of these sections is complete and contains an autonomous system with propellants and motors. The astronauts, or space explorers, wear special protective suits containing many life support systems. Space stations that orbit our planet serve as laboratories for experiments concerning space explorations.
Photography. A good photograph tells an interesting story. It indicates and records how a person or a place appeared, or describes the nature of the activities occurring. Currently, most individuals possess and use some type of camera. Photography is the most common method which journals, encyclopedias, periodicals, and other publications use to obtain illustrations. Photographic reproduction is a useful instrument in industry, medicine, and commercial publicity programs. It is also a satisfying creative passion which fascinates millions of devoted amateurs. It is an established art form in which serious artists produce decorative objects. Currently, there is a vast variety of cameras. In fact, there are commonly used ones constituted by a small automatic structure, instant ones, and those with incredibly accurate sophisticated mechanisms. The cost of different quality photographic materials varies considerably. The photographic process is essentially similar to the natural human activity termed vision. It is based on reflection. Reflected light from objects in the scene to be pictured passes through optical refractive elements, lenses, and is recorded on a light-sensitive emulsion. This emulsion is chemically altered when exposed to certain frequencies of radiant energy. This structural alteration is revealed by processing the plastic-based emulsion, either as a positive transparency for projection or as a negative. The photographic process was invented by a French artist in Paris in the 19th century. It has revolutionized the nature of modern art, journalism, and communications in general, and has contributed to important advancements in sciences. In fact, certain philosophers maintain that mechanically reproducible forms of art were a major influence in the evolution of socialist-oriented societies. Obviously, cinema and television are direct descendants of photography. Commercial photography is a vast sector. A professional photographer's ordinary activities may focus on any conceivable object or activity in the universe. Photographers record astronomical phenomena, create publicity for commercial products, and document interesting objects, incidents, and historical events. In industry, photography is frequently used to observe quality control systems and in scientific research. Photography has profoundly influenced modern art. It has eliminated the necessity or desire for exact duplication of nature by artists. Impressionism was, in part, a reaction to photography, and in part, an appreciation of the relatively recent innovation. Abstract art probably came into existence as a direct result of the intellectual dialogue photography created. As artists considered their role in society and the nature of human expression, many determined that direct representation was unnecessary and initiated formal experiments with color, texture, and other visual elements to produce unique paintings. Currently, photography is generally considered a legitimate independent art. While philosophers argue the point, public opinion has definitely decided that the images of nature and illustrations of human experiences presented by certain sensitive photographers are of sufficient value to be collected in museums and exhibited in the public galleries.
A medical student. Andrew is a medical student at the university. He is engaged in the study of the human body. Andrew will graduate from university upon the completion of his studies, and he will function in the society as a professional advisor. Various studies are necessary to prepare oneself to carry out a medical profession. It is extremely important to study the various human systems. They influence and control each other. For example, the respiratory system influences circulation. In addition to purely medical studies, Andrew studies general subjects. The study of chemistry is important to the medical profession. Chemical reactions determine human conditions. Human chemistry is extremely complicated. Modern medicines are manufactured by complex chemical processes. Andrew studies anatomy. Every part of the human body has a definite, distinct name. Andrew is interested in sports. He considers sport essential for general health. Numerous modern medicines and treatments are not intrinsically necessary. Sufficient appropriate sporting activities are a substitute. Tennis is Andrew's favorite sport. He also skis frequently. Sporting activities help circulation, stimulate respiration, and contribute to the development of muscles. In addition, skiing structures are constructed in natural locations that are in remote zones, distant from industrial and automobile pollution. Sporting in such locations is extremely beneficial. Andrew studies nutrition. He considers diet extremely important. His diet is composed principally of fruits and vegetables. His diet imposes no tension on the digestive system. Andrew's study of chemistry at this point is important. In fact, it enables him to analyze the digestive process, which he is extremely interested in. He is interested in the knowledge of the energy production in the human system. Andrew intends to specialize in internal medicine. In particular, he will specialize in the digestive system and its disorders. In addition to medical studies and sporting activities, Andrew is interested in music. He studies violin, and plays group music in school. The human system is delicate, more delicate than a violin. Andrew considers them similar. The harmony of music is similar to the functioning of a human body, even though the date of completion of his medical studies appears extremely distant. Andrew will be a sympathetic and talented doctor. He respects the medical profession and maintains a qualified behavior in society.
Taxes in England. There are two categories of people who work: the non-professional and the professional. The money that they receive is a wage, a salary, or a fee. Usually, the wage workers receive their money every week, while the salary workers receive it once a month. The disadvantages of weekly payments in cash are numerous. First of all, it must be noted that the cashier, in order to pay the personnel every week, has to count the money and prepare it in packets, indicating on each the amount and the worker's name. This is laborious and expensive. There is also the problem of great quantities of money that must arrive from banks to the offices every Friday. The regularity of these consignments makes an attack easier for robbers. The English use their bank accounts a lot. They regularly deposit a part of their earnings in banks or in post offices, and those who use a bank account as a form of investment are guaranteed by the government, as they will receive from banks a certain interest rate which will gradually increase the original deposit. The income or money which comes into a family's possession is subject to severe taxation. This happens in all nations, and it is more than justifiable as a government's expenses are interminable. Indirect taxation is applied to all consumer goods and articles such as cigarettes, alcohol, cosmetics, clothing, etc., while the direct taxation, apart from being diabolical, is extremely rigorous. The standard tax is in the vicinity of 30% of the money earned. The limit of taxes is decided by the taxation department. Those who receive higher salaries, in addition to the 30%, pay the so-called surtax, and the percentage can reach an astronomical 90%. However, special deductions may be made. This happens, for example, when one donates a sum of money to a charitable organization, or when one has considerable expenses because he is handicapped and therefore not able to use normal appliances and needs constant attention and assistance, or when someone has had an operation to save his life.